Good morning. All right. I know it's probably pretty dark around me because it's pretty early in the morning that I'm recording this lesson. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and do our reading lesson. I know we were going to try to Zoom, but my Zoom is horrible, so we're not going to Zoom today. Let's go ahead and open our reader book. We're going to be reading a poem today and doing some lessons that aren't just too bad. All right, let's go ahead and look in our book on Reader page 12. Reader page 12. It's going to look like this. It's called A Wonderful Man. It's got a picture like this on there. This man, what does it look like he's doing? I think he's whittling with a knife. He's whittling something out of that wood. No telling's what he's doing. All right, so I'm going to read this poem. It's called A Wonderful Man. And I want you to listen as I read, and then I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, okay? Now, but before we start, I want you to notice how many stanzas this has. It has 3, right? Now, remember I told you before, regular stories, any kind of stories, history, drama, biographies, whatever. If it's a story or something like that, it's called prose. Prose, prose, just regular writing. But then you have another kind of writing called poetry. There's 2 main kinds of writing. There's prose, which is just regular writing, and poetry, okay? In prose, you have paragraphs, but in poetry, we have stanzas, okay? So it's kind of, a stanza is kind of like a paragraph in poetry, but it's called a stanza. And you don't indent. You know how when you make a new paragraph in prose, you have to indent? You don't do that when you write poetry. All right, let's go ahead and read. My father carries a pearl-handled knife with 3 steel blades that are as big as life. One is longest and one is littler, but the shortest one is the sharpest whittler. My father whittles me whistles from sticks and uses his knife when there are things to fix. And he whittles me darts and arrows with wings and sailboats and rabbits and other such things. And sometimes he asks me, would you like to try to whittle a little something with me standing by? So I whittle something as well as I can say, but my father's a wonderful man. All right, so there are 3 stanzas in the poem. So the main idea in this stanza is about what? It's about his dad's knife, his pearl-handled knife. That's the main idea. You probably hear my cat. He's meowing. So the main idea of this stanza is about Dad's pearl-handled knife. It's got 3 blades. That's what's so special about it. Which blade is the one that whittles the best? The shortest one whittles the best, doesn't it? All right, let's look here at lines 5, 6, 7, and 8. That's our middle stanza. You see 5 here? That means this is line 5, and of course this is line 10. 5 through 8. My father whittles me whistles from sticks and uses his knife when there are things to fix. And he whittles me darts and arrows with wings and sailboats and rabbits and other such things. All right, what's the main idea in this stanza? The things his dad whittles, isn't it? That's right. So what kinds of things does he whittle? Whistles, darts, arrows, sailboats, rabbits, all those types of things. Look at 9 through 12. That'll be this stanza. And sometimes he asks me, would you like to try to whittle a little something with me standing by? So I whittle something as well as I can. Say, but my father's a wonderful man. What's the main idea of this stanza? It's kind of, he admires his dad, kind of, right? He really admires his dad. I'd say maybe that's kind of like the main idea. Now, why do you think Dad wants to stand by while his son whittles something? You ever been cut by a knife because of something you did? I have. I bet your Nana has too, while she was in the kitchen, or maybe your mom while she's peeling potatoes or something, or carrots or something like that. Now, is there something that you have learned from your dad that you greatly admire? Think about that. All right, good deal. So let's look. We're going to look at some literary things. So let's look in our work text on page 5. Page 5. We have pages 5 and 6, but we're going to look at page 5. We're going to look at something called alliteration. Okay, are you there on page 5? Okay, now it's not just 100% necessary that you write all this down. I would write a few of them, but I mean, these pages are not going to be graded. These are just pages that we're learning something new, okay? So look at the top of page 5. Do you see the brown box? There it says alliteration. That's a crazy word. Alliteration is the repetition of the same beginning sound in 2 or more words. Authors like to use alliteration to make the text more enjoyable. Look here at this poem. How about this line right here, line 5? My father whittles me whistles from sticks. Whittles and whistles. That is alliteration because the author used 2 words that started with the same sound, and so that's alliteration. And sometimes, you ever done a tongue twister like Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers? That's alliteration. It's when my screen, I'm sorry, my screen is messing up. I've got to get a new monitor. How about, let's see if there's, oh, what about line 3? One is longest and one is littler. Longest and littler. Now it can be more than 2 words that have the same sound, but at least if there's 2 that have the same beginning sound, they don't rhyme, they have the same beginning sound, and that's alliteration. And I'll tell you a way that you can remember that. Look at the word alliteration. Do you see it starts with A-L-L, the 2 L's? Okay, so think of the 2 L's as being the same. I have to answer a call. Okay, let's look at number 1. You see the American flag there? Okay, we're going to look at some lines from the Star-Spangled Banner, okay? All right, so the first one is, oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light? Do you see that? All right, so what we're going to do is, you don't have to write these down, but I want you to see if you can find them before I say it, okay? But you have to say it out loud, okay? I'm going to text your Nana and make sure you're doing it out loud, okay? Got my eyes on you. Actually got my ears on you. Ready? Here we go. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light? Can you find examples of alliteration? Remember, it has to have the same first sound at the beginning of the word. Did you say and see? If you did, you got it right. That's alliteration. Okay, number 2. Whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight? I'll give you a hint. There's 2 pieces of alliteration in this one. Can you get them all? Did you get broad and bright and stripes and stars? Did you get that? That's alliteration. Look at number 3. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air. Again, there's two things of alliteration in here. See if you can get those. Okay, did you get, on number 3, did you get rockets and red and bombs and bursting? All right. See if you can get number 4. Did you get haughty and host? Where the foe's haughty host in dread silence reposes. That's in another stanza of the Star-Spangled Banner, one that we don't say very often, ever. Haughty and host. Okay, what I'd like for you to do, just to help you remember, on number 1, remember we said it was say and see. Just circle say and see, okay? And then on number 2, circle broad, bright, stripes and stars. And number 3, circle rockets, red, bombs, and bursting. I should have had you do this before, but I didn't realize I was going to. And on number 4, circle hottie and host. Okay? Okay. Now, we're going to learn something a little bit different. On the same lines, but a little bit different. Look at the bottom. All right, there's a green box at the bottom. It says assonance. Assonance. The repetition, that means over and over, the repetition of vowel sounds within words in a line of poetry is called assonance. Okay, so let's look at number 1. These are psalms. We're going to look at these, and I'm going to help you find, we're going to be listening for the same vowel sounds throughout, okay? Teach me thy way, O Lord, and lead me in a plain path. Now, plain path is alliteration. We're not looking for that. We're looking for a vowel sound that we hear. Teach me, lead me. Do you hear the long E in those? Circle those. Teach me, lead me. Okay, those words have the same long E sound. So that's an example of assonance. Okay, assonance is for vowels. Alliteration is for the same beginning sounds. All right, let's look at number 2. Bow down thine ear to me. What words in there have the same vowel sound? Did you get bow down? Has the same ow sound. So circle those words, bow down. Look at number 3. Thy word have I hid in mine heart. Do you hear the same vowel sound throughout that? Thy word have I hid in mine heart. Do you hear the long I in that psalm? Thy, I, and mine. All of those words have the long I sound. That is an example of assonance. Okay? Pause it and see if you can do number 4 and 5. Turn it back on and we'll see if you got those right. All right, on number 4, did you circle I delight myself and thy? Did you get all of those? Long I sound, assonance. Look at number 5. Did you get great, greatly, and praised? Long A sound in those. Okay? Now, if you missed some of those, it's okay. This is a brand new skill that we're just learning, okay? All right, can you turn the page to page 6? Now, at the top of this page, it says, I'm going to tell you how to do the page. I'm going to have you pause it and complete the page yourself. I'm not grading this page, okay? But it is something that you know. It's just a skill that you need to practice. So I'm going to explain what to do on both the top and the bottom. Then I'm going to have you pause it, complete the page, and then when you turn it back on, we'll go over the answers, okay? All right, so at the very top. Now it says to circle the word that tells which verb tense is used in each of the paragraphs. So there's 6 little tiny paragraphs. You're going to read each one of those, and if it's in the past, if it's talking about something already happened, circle past. If it's talking about right now, it's present. So you'll circle either past or present. Now, you see the drum, and then there's a big green box. It says, when comparing two things or ideas. I remember doing this in 4th grade English. When you compare two things or two ideas, we use ER on the word. But when you compare more than 2 things, we have to use EST. Okay? So on numbers 1 through 6, they give you some words to choose from in the purple box there. Okay? So you are going to put the right form of that verb in the blank. Okay? And it's either going to have ER or EST. Okay? All right. So if you would go ahead and pause it and work on that page, and we'll turn it on and see how well you did. I never know how long to pause. I hope you finished page 6. All right, so I actually have page 6 with the answers on my computer. All I have to do is find it. And it'll be easy to check. Yeah, somewhere. It's going to be here. Let's see. Okay, let me bring this up. My computer is so slow. Oh, come on, computer. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. Come on. There we go. You're thinking. She's thinking. Okay, there's our guy. There's our... Okay, this was the page. All right. I thought it might be a little easier to put it on the board for you to see. Okay. So the first one here, you should have gotten present. Okay. The one under it was past. If you get it wrong, that's okay. Just put a little X beside it to remind you missed it. Okay. The last one would have been present. Over here you have present, and past. I hope you got those right. If you missed them, that's okay. This is something that we just learned at the end of last year. All right, now right here where it's got 2 here and it's got 3 here, or 2 here, 2, that means that any one of those would work. Okay, so would you check that, please? All right, I hope you got that. Now some of those you had to change the way you spell it. I think noisier, and bushier. Some of those you had to kind of change a little bit. So I hope you got those right. If you didn't, that's okay. We're going to be learning more about that this year. Okay? All right. Well, that means you don't have any assignment today because we finished it all. So that's all for today.